Yeah, those chips will keep everything nice and moist. I'm going to be taking a ride up to our cabin soon, so need to get the garden fixed up so that it'll take care of itself while I'm gone. It's getting pretty hot out. Probably close to 90 degrees. It's still morning. I think I'm going to go take a little break. Maybe you could come with me, keep me company. Ah, this is much better. Shade is a good thing. Anyway, I was thinking about my dad and my grandfather and how I wish that we had had videos back in the day. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. When I was a kid, my dad and my grandfather both liked to garden, and they had a garden every summer. And they would drive each other crazy because my grandfather was constantly moving my dad's plants. It didn't matter where my dad planted something, it was never the right spot. My grandfather would have to straighten him out and put it somewhere else. Well, my dad took it for a long time, and then he finally blew up. You know, like enough is enough. And so he got pretty mad at my granddad one night. And so my grandfather kind of didn't do anything for a couple of days. And I thought, oh good, this is finally over. I want to see them get mad at each other. It'll be a good thing. But then this one morning, my grandfather goes out in the garden when my dad was at work. And my dad had just taken a tomato plant out the night before from his cold frame and put it in the far left-hand side of the garden. The garden was probably about 30 or 40 feet long. My grandfather gets a shovel out, and sure enough, he has to dig up that tomato plant. But instead of putting it in some other location, like far away, he digs it up and then digs another hole 6 inches away from where it was originally and plants it there. That doesn't even make sense, you know. Anyway, my dad comes home that night, and my grandfather goes to the window, watching my dad when he's down in the garden. Dad never said a word. Well, this went on night after night. My grandfather, in the morning, would move that plant 6 inches. And at nighttime, my grandfather would be out the window looking, and I'd be right behind my grandfather checking to see my dad's reaction. No reaction whatsoever. So eventually, in over like a month's time, that tomato plant went from being on the far left side of the garden to the extreme right. And this one night, my grandfather was really steamed. I mean, he was at that window and his face was beet red, fists were clenched. I thought, this isn't going to be good. He opens up the back door and he heads out to where my dad is working in the garden. So my grandfather goes storming out to the garden and goes in front of my dad and says, "Hey, how come you didn't say anything about me moving that tomato plant?" My dad said, "As long as you were moving that tomato plant around, you were leaving the other plants alone. Why mess up a good thing?" Now, wouldn't that have made a great video? Anyway, that's the adventures of Josh and Paul, my dad and grandfather. Thanks for watching, everybody, and God bless.